14 Dead by Daylight Myths Busted, episode 11. Wow. You won't be injured if hit when healthy with the endurance status effect. This one was submitted by Joelbrook182. Oh, and Pickleboy as well. I think a few other people also suggested this one. It's a good one. The endurance status effect allows you to resist the next hit, putting you in a deep wound state and forcing you to mend. Usually, you have the status effect when injured, but what would happen if you had this effect when healthy? Pebble doesn't actually have a pebble. This one was submitted by Real. Real. This is a great one. Diversion allows you to throw a pebble that creates a noise notification and scratch marks at the place where it lands. The description for Diversion states that you are throwing a physical pebble. But is this actually the case, or is there just a white line showing the trajectory of the would-be pebble? We can only really test this by getting as close as possible to the pebble. Okay, I've said pebble too many times. And then again, for God's sake, probably easiest if it's the place where it will land and then slowing down the footage. You can make Myers close his hand when using Tombstone. This one was submitted by Qwerty. Quirby. Why have I written Qwerty? Sorry, dude. As established in previous videos, when using Judith's Tombstone, your movement speed is decreased by 9% when in Tier 3, making it so your hand is left slightly open as the animation position is based on velocity. But what if you take play with your food to increase your movement speed by 15%? Will the hand fully close, making your use of this incredibly broken add-on undisguised? I hadn't written any word at the end there, so I just added that one on. Using a flashlight during the endgame collapse allows you to glitch the camera. This one was submitted by Channel Manager Chipstar878. When using the flashlight, the camera angle and input changes, but will this effect carry over or be cancelled when the endgame collapse penetrates a survivor? Here's wording, not mine. Instructions counter overcharge and depression. This one was submitted by Gilberto Hernandez. The instructions toolbox add-on eliminates skill checks while repairing a generator. But what happens if you're using a toolbox with instructions when a killer procs depression, or when you start it on a generator that's been hit with overcharge? Hoarder works with vaccine crates. This one was submitted by Hybera. I've definitely not pronounced that right. Sorry, dude. Hoarder triggers a loud noise notification whenever a survivor unlocks a chest or picks up any item within 64 meters of you. This tooltip tells us that it works with limited items, so that includes picking up vaccines. But does the chest effect work with Nemesis's vaccine chests being opened? But does the chest effect work with Nemesis's vaccine chests being opened? I think it's just Nemesis vaccine chest. I don't know. Someone in the comments, let me know what the correct way of pronouncing that is, please. Thank you. Inner Strength will heal you if you're in Deep Wound. This one was submitted by Gavin Leisure. When in Deep Wound, you have to mend before the timer runs out or you'll be put into the dying state. Inner Strength allows you to heal 1 health state when hiding inside a locker for 8 seconds after cleansing a totem. But will Inner Strength cure the Deep Wound status, or will you still go down if you don't mend in time? Small game can gain more than 5 stacks when cleansing Rekindled totems. This one was submitted by Logan Lathrop. Hex Pentimento allows the killer to rekindle cleansed totems. In a previous video, we found out that Counterforce can gain more than its previous maximum of 5 stacks by cleansing these totems. Small game, it triggers an auditory warning when looking in the direction of totems within a 45-degree cone. This is decreased by 5 degrees for each totem that is cleansed by any player. It has a stated maximum reduction of 20 degrees, but will this hold true when cleansing Pentimento totems? Can it gain more than 5 totems? Tokens? small game loses a stack when Hex Pentamento reignites a totem. This one was submitted by Rose Draws. Given the result of our previous myth, does small game lose a stack when a totem is rekindled? It would make sense. You will still lose Distortion tokens when within the radius of a Boon Shadow Step totem. This one was submitted by Cav. I was a bit confused at first, actually, because Cav, mate, you said Deception, not Distortion, but because I'm a big-brained genius, I knew what you actually meant. Distortion starts with 3 tokens. Each time your aura would be revealed to the killer, you lose a token and you leave no scratch marks for 10 seconds. Boon Shadow Step, on the other hand, hides your scratch marks and aura from the killer when within its range. So what happens when your aura would be revealed to the killer when within the radius of Shadow Step? Will you still lose one of your 3 precious Distortion tokens? You can't get crows while in a snowman. This one was submitted by Jane Fennell. I know this event has just ended. Weird that it ended before Christmas, but whatever. Attentive viewers will have noted that I asked for myths related to the snowmen. I intended on doing a whole video dedicated to these and releasing it on Christmas Day. Then I realized the event ends before Christmas Day and that snowmen don't spawn in customs, making the entire premise of the video largely unfeasible as it'd take tens of hours to record footage. That video isn't happening. Sorry. However, I can answer this one with the following footage. You can bring a doll totem back if it's destroyed, rekindled, blessed, and then snuffed out. This one was submitted by Canadian Dutch. I don't need to explain this one beyond the title. Let's take a look. Getting injured by a Huntress with Exhaustion Hatchets will not proc Overcome. This one was submitted by Kane is Cool 1. The Huntress add-on Venomous Concoction causes survivors hit by a Hatchet to suffer from Exhaustion for 5 seconds. Overcome, meanwhile, allows you to sprint for an additional 2 seconds on top of the usual 3 seconds when injured. It cannot be used when exhausted. So what happens when hit with a Venomous Concoction Hatchet while Overcome is equipped? Will you only get the 3 seconds of sprint time? Overcome will trigger with a Nemesis Contamination hit. This one was submitted by Larry in a basement playing games. The best place to be when playing games, Larry, no doubt. Overcome triggers only when your health state changes, on paper, but it'd be safe to assume that the speed boost you get when hit with a Contamination Tentacle from Nemesis or the zombies is the same code. It would be an easy oversight then for Overcome to trigger in the same function and thus be triggered alongside the Nemesis Tentacle hit, rather than Overcome being its own code called only when the health state is changed, overriding the usual function. Either way, answering this one will provide clarity on exactly how both of these mechanics are implemented. There you have it, 14 Dead by Daylight myths busted. As always, if you have any suggestions for future videos, then leave them in the comments with the word myth somewhere in the content of what you post. I'm bringing back the Q&A segment I used to do at the end of all of my videos. A little bit of me time to close. If you want to ask a question, put a comment with Q&A written exactly as it appears on screen somewhere in the comments. So today's Q&A question, and the first after about a 6-month break from doing these, comes from Goofy, who asks, what editing software do you use? I've answered this once before, but the answer's kind of changed, and I thought I would just answer with my entire workflow. So I plan things out using Kanban Flow with the to-do list and deadline. I then write scripts using Bear, record audio in Audacity, video with OBS Studio, and then we transfer it across to my MacBook where I edit using Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro. I'll then create the thumbnail using Vegas Pro. So I end up using 7 pieces of software when in reality I could probably do everything in Final Cut Pro apart from script writing and time management. The thing is, I can create the same type of video in any editing software, but the features on each and the method of editing will change my creative decisions. Transitions, for example, are pretty rough in Vegas, whereas they're smooth and beautiful in Final Cut. This is the main reason why when I switched to Final Cut, I started animating objects flying in and out and so on, because it just looks so much nicer to do that than it ever did edited in Sony Vegas. If you're wanting to get into video editing, don't wait to be able to afford or install the right software. Software is less important than the vision, and you can create pretty much anything in pretty much any software, even Windows Movie Maker. So yeah, a big thank you. I've written a bog thank you. So a bog thank you to my £8 and up patrons, Chipstar878, Mr. Lista, and Bobby Bialy. Well, I don't actually know how to pronounce your surname, Bobby, but we'll just call you Godfather Bobby. If you want to support the channel by throwing cash directly into my pocket, then check out the link in the pinned comment. If not, that's fine too. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.